Today we're talking low-tech marine aquaria. And I don't mean low-tech as in using a dustbin and a light from your house to keep it alive. Although you probably could do that if you wanted to. We're talking doing an aquarium in salt water with the bare minimum that you need to pay out so that you can have a really happy and healthy aquarium. So at the end of the day, we don't want an aquarium that is running at the lowest possible level that it can be. We want something that we can actually actively enjoy, actively create something which we're proud of, but to do it without all the fuss and bother that a lot of people will tell you that you need. If you walk into most marine aquarium shops, they will try and sell you everything they have on the shelf, and they will tell you it is impossible to create a marine tank without buying all these things. And that is not what I am about. If we take a quick pan around my fish house, you'll see that I haven't exactly scrimped on the equipment that I'm using. That's not the message that I'm trying to get across. To have a low-tech aquarium, you don't have to use the worst equipment. You can still use good quality lighting, good quality filtration, and good quality aquaria. My point is, you don't need to have every single piece of equipment to run a marine system. If we look at this side, for instance, we're doing things in a very different way to how most people would recommend it. For a start, the sump isn't really high-tech at all. The way I like to run my marine systems is to allow the system to do the filtration. So if I just turn it off, we can have a look at what's going on in here. So for instance, in my sumps, I like to just use live rock. And there's a lot of live rock in here, but this is a 1,000 litre system, so it requires it. Obviously, in a smaller tank or a smaller system, you'd scale this down. So all I need in here is live rock, lots of flow, which I have because they're returning from the system and powering it round, and that is my biological filtration done. I'm also using this as a slight refugium as well, which is something I recommend you to do, because this is a great low-tech and natural way of removing nitrates and phosphates from your water. You won't need to use chemicals, you won't need to use special media or floss or anything like that. Easy way to do it is just to use something like a Caulerpa macroalgae or even Cheetahmorpha, whatever you can get your hands on. In terms of lighting, I had a spare Fluval Marine 3.0. Obviously that's an expensive light, but you could quite easily do the same thing using any kind of refugium light. Something that could cost you like 20 to 30 pounds would be totally fine. You can see as well, in terms of keeping my water levels topped up, I haven't got anything particularly high tech. We have just got a simple stopcock, and I've connected that to an RO system, which I just turn on over there whenever I want to top up or leave this running to top up my system. Dead simple, isn't it? Nothing fancy about this. And then in terms of mechanical filtration, we are using a pond filter pump. This is a really good way of doing it, and even on my marine systems in other builds, I've used a canister filter for mechanical filtration because I like the fact that it takes it out of the sump. When you're cleaning sump media, it does tend to, when you remove it, release a lot of the dirt. And if you use a canister filter, you don't have that issue. Also, if your tank was small enough, you might not even need to use a sump at all. You could run the whole thing off of a canister filter, which is something I have done in the past, and it works beautifully. This is another low-tech idea. Why even use glass at all? You can create an aquarium in a plastic tub. Obviously here, I've got 6 all connected to each other off that main system, but they work wonderfully. Now these tubs were £12 each. They're food grade storage tubs. I've just drilled the middle and put a little weir in it. But if you were going to use this as a tank itself, you wouldn't even need to drill it. For £12 you have your aquarium. I've got a heater in there just to keep the system warm, and you can see once they're mature they look stunning. Of course you can't see your fish from the sides, but say you wanted to keep little shrimps, or you wanted to keep freshwater fish like guppies or breed them or whatever, tubs are an amazing way just to increase the amount of tanks you've got, and actually I like looking at my things from the top. It's a very different perspective from just looking at them from the sides all the time. You can see in here, we've even got a little clownfish. Well happy in there. And look, from the top, she is stunning. So tubs are a great way of doing a low budget and low tech aquarium. Aquarium lighting has come on massively in the last couple of years. The last time I did a video on aquarium lighting, LED lights were just about coming out, and there are a few main players such as Fluval. We had things like Interpet in the UK. We've got Orphec lights, which are massively expensive for what they are. But nowadays, you can pick up a really high quality LED from brands such as Night Crew or Higger, which are absolutely fantastic. And that's what I've got running on this tank. And in today's market, these are probably classed as low-tech LEDs. These guys are still running off what I would consider old school timers. The more modern, expensive LEDs are running on Bluetooth, they're running on Wi-Fi, you can control them from your phone. Well, not these. These are your budget, cheaper, low-tech, in this day and age, LEDs. But they do a fantastic job. Don't be drawn in by the hype. Don't be drawn in by the salesman in the shop trying to sell you those £500+ LED bars or luminaires. Yes, they are good, and I have used them in the past, and they are handy, but the point is you don't need them. Don't let them sell you these things unnecessarily, unless you want to go for them, but you're probably not here watching this video if you did. These kinds of LEDs are readily available on Amazon, eBay, and I think they're like £40 to £50 each. So you can do a 4-foot tank. This is 4 foot, I think, by 2 foot deep for less than £100, which is absolutely amazing. A quick tip for a luminaire stand or an LED light stand: I've got some of this polycarbonate sheeting. You use it on greenhouses and things, and I've just cut it into a little rectangle, bit of silicone, and look, we have got a light stand. Now this has cost me a few pounds to make. It actually looks pretty decent in my opinion. It's quite low profile, the LED is dead center, and I've used it on this side as well. These guys have been on here for well over 6 months. They haven't moved, and personally, obviously black silicone isn't the neatest, but with clear silicone, I think they look just ace. One thing I've never used in my own personal marine tanks, can you spot what's missing here? That is skimmers. I honestly have never seen the point of a skimmer. The only negative to not using a skimmer is your water might get slightly yellower. Like a freshwater tank, when you haven't water changed it for a while, you get a slight yellow hue to it. But other than that, they're just a waste of time and money in my opinion. This tank is so healthy. It's been running for a year and a half, and it's never had a skimmer running on it ever. You can see my sumpfish. We've got mollies, we've got a regal tang, and we've got a little fox face in there, and maybe a damsel if you can spot him. Skimmer required on a marine tank? Not at all. Another thing that you can just do without, unless of course you don't like water changes. That is how I combat my skimmerless systems. I do regular water changes. I probably do around 30 to 40% every couple of weeks, and that keeps everything in tip-top condition. And lastly, my final tip: why spend hundreds of pounds on power heads when you can buy simple aquarium pumps to blast water through your tank? Yeah, okay, it is a little bit ugly, but in terms of low-tech, high reward, this is what you want. You can pick up really powerful internal aquarium filters for like 30 to 40 pounds, and they will give you amazing flow through your aquarium. And that's just what I've been doing to save a bit of money. There's one in there, there's one at the top here, and they give me just as good flow as if I'd spent loads of money on a power head. This is giving me enough flow for my entire aquarium. I think it was like £20. I mean, it's not for everybody with the box in there, but I think if you're going to go low tech and you're going to try and save some money, maybe for your first marine aquarium, something like this is way more viable than spending £100 or so on a fancy power head. And also, this gives you a little bit of extra filtration in your aquarium. So really, it is a win-win. So just remember, if you are setting up either a freshwater tank or a saltwater tank like my own, you don't need to fork out lots of money. It used to be the case that setting up an aquarium was expensive, and a lot of people still sort of go for that aspect. They still are under the impression that you have to shell out thousands of pounds to set up an aquarium. But this day and age, it is not true at all. You can set up an aquarium in a shoebox lined with a plastic bag if you want to, and it will work just fine as long as you give it the right care and attention. So I hope you've enjoyed my tips, and I hope they help you to set up your next aquarium. So thanks for watching, and happy fish keeping.